I love watching bad movies, and lately I have just been watching a lot. Whether it's The Curse of the Cannibal Confederates, which, yes, that's a real movie that exists. Or Gooby, which feels like an 80s movie, but was somehow made in 2009. Or Superstorm, which is the movie I'm talking about today. And just a quick side note, this movie has 3 different names. But I found this movie on Tubi, and it was called Superstorm, so that's just what I'm going to be calling it for this review. Right off the bat, this movie is terrible. The special effects are not the best. I get that this movie was made in 2012, but I've seen other movies made in 2012 that had much better quality, and I'm pretty sure 99.999% of the budget went to having Skinner from the X-Files in this movie. But what is this movie even about? It starts off with Skinner, and he's going to fix like this weather vane or something, but then there's a lightning storm, and Skinner falls off the weather vane and dies. Or at least that's what the person I was watching this with and I thought. We thought that they couldn't pay to have Skinner be in this movie any longer, but no, he's not dead. Then we see our main character, who I hate. He's just a huge simp for this one girl in his class. He likes this girl, and he lets her take credit for the science project he made, because he's a mega simp, and he also doesn't want his dad to know that he's a genius, but I'm sure it's mostly because he's a simp, okay? So he's in detention with the girl he likes, helping set up for the science fair, and he's also there with the bully, which is actually a pretty good character. I don't even remember his name, I just called him Chad. Even though he's supposed to be the bully character, he's still likable, and then there's this other character whose name I think is Hannah. And even though she doesn't have much screen time, she's just the sweetest character ever, and it's hinted that Chad might actually have a crush on her. He teases her because he has a crush on her. But then the main character and the girl he likes go out back to get some supplies from his dad's truck, because the main character's dad works at the school, and they see this giant tornado and there's lightning everywhere, and there's this policewoman who was introduced earlier in the movie, and she gets stuck in her car and the lightning's striking her car and the tornado's coming closer, and they think she died, but she actually got out just in time. So the main character and the girl he likes run back inside, and the main character's like, Dad, we saw the lady, she got struck by lightning, she evaporated. And then the person I'm watching this movie with and I are like, what? No, she didn't. What are you talking about? Nothing evaporated. It's not like her car got evaporated by the lightning and they thought she was still inside. Nothing evaporated. And this is just one of the many parts of the script for this movie that make absolutely zero sense. But as it turns out, the lady's alive, and then the dad is like, oh no, I gotta take her to get help. You kids stay in the basement. I'm leaving you children here at the school, like any responsible parent or guardian would do. So he ditches to get this woman help. And you know what the next scene that includes him in it has him doing? He's driving through a construction site. He doesn't take this woman to a hospital or a doctor's office. He takes her to a construction site. And I still don't understand why. There's no reason. Except for the plot's got a plot, I guess. So he's looking around at all the damage, and he's like, oh my goodness, what could have caused this? And the lightning and the tornado starts happening. So he gets in the car and he starts driving away. But then he runs into a shelf full of propane tanks. He gets out of the car, and before he can do anything, lightning strikes the car and the propane tanks, and the car blows up with the woman inside. This woman, who is actually a likable character, died, and it's all the stupid dad's fault. And after that moment, I just hated him. But enough about the dad. Let's see how the kids are doing. Oh, the school is being sucked up by a giant tornado, and then Hannah gets hurt. What's this? They get to the basement and Hannah dies? What? And then the kids leave the school, and Chad gets struck by lightning and gets evaporated right in front of the main character and his crush. So now 2 more of the only likable characters in this movie are dead. Of course I don't expect the main character to die and his girlfriend to die, because, well, they gotta get together in the end. But come on. The main character in this movie is like every other main character in these kinds of movies. I mean, he literally feels like the son character from The Day After Tomorrow, because like the guy from The Day After Tomorrow, he's got daddy issues, he's got a crush, he's gotta step up and help save the day. And you know, I've been watching a lot of these like end of the world movies for some reason. I'm not really even sure why. And some of them are actually really good. Like, they're all similar, but the end of the world scenarios are different and the execution is different enough that I wouldn't really say that they're too similar. Take Geostorm and Day After Tomorrow. They're in the same genre, but they're also different enough that I wouldn't really say that they're that similar. One thing that I don't like about these movies a lot, though, is that they always have a divorced dad or something. Someone's divorced, and then most of the time the divorced dad ends up getting with the woman that he divorced again, which I don't know. I'm just sick and tired of seeing it. It was fine the first, 2 times, but now I'm just tired of it. Can we get something new already? The one praise that I will give this movie is that it doesn't have the divorced dad gets with the person that he divorced again trope. But at the same time, at least the dads in those movies are actually likable, because this dad is not. But back to the plot, news gets out about the storm, and then these people from this college are like, wow, I heard about that girl's invention in the science fair. This invention could help save the world. Let's go there. So the two of them go to the town using a plane, but then their plane crashes and only one of them lives, and then the dad shows up. For some reason, he's just now in the forest at the plane crash site, which, you know, this could have been fixed by a scene where the dad is like watching the plane crash and he goes, oh no, the plane crashed, I'll have to go see if there's any survivors. But no, it just immediately jumps to the dad at the plane crash site. So the dad saves this lady from the plane crash and she explains everything to them. They go back to the school, see the kids are gone. So then they go looking around for the kids, and then they run into the kids, but yet again, someone dies and it's the lady. So they all go to Skinner's place, which he's alive. Yay! He's the dad of the crush character, and also the main character's mom went to Skinner's place or something. I can't remember why. So they all talk about how they're gonna save the world, and the dad finds out that his son's a genius, and he's like, oh son, I'm so sorry that you felt like you couldn't tell me. But they make the machine, everybody's in position, but then something goes wrong and Skinner has to sacrifice himself in order to save the day. And you know, the dad character almost dies, and I was crossing my fingers that it would be him instead of Skinner. But no! Skinner dies, leaving the crush of the main character orphaned. This movie is not good by any means, but it was so much fun to watch because I was dying of laughter half of the time, except for the moments where the dad was being an idiot and I was wishing he was dead. There are so many weird points in this movie too, where I'm just left with so many questions. Why did the dad take the lady to the construction site? Why was he suddenly in the middle of nowhere at the plane crash? It just didn't make sense. Though the actors in this movie, I think, did pretty well with what they were given. Overall, I'd say this is a pretty basic, bare bones, end of the world sort of story. And at one point, it literally brings up how some cities in the United States have been completely destroyed. But then that plot point is never brought up again, and I almost completely forgot about it just because it's only mentioned once and then never brought up again. But even though there were some mildly frustrating and confusing parts with this movie, it was still fun to watch, like I said. So I'd say if you have an afternoon, just watch this with a friend or something. But that's all I have to say about Superstorm, and until then, I will see you guys next time. Goodbye!